All right, everybody. Well, without further ado, Jason and I could not be more excited to welcome in our guest for today, the head coach of your Auburn Tigers, Bryan Harsin. Hey, Coach, War Eagle.
War Eagle. Yeah, glad to be on here.
Yeah, appreciate it, Coach. Yeah, we're pumped to have you. So thanks for coming on. And Taylor's going to take the lead. Like I always say, women goes first on this episode. So she will be in charge.
That's a true Auburn man right there. Well,
right.
Coach, we certainly have a lot to talk to you about. And like I said, we're pumped to kind of hear a little bit about your experience and this team as season gets really, really close. It'll be here before any of us know it. But fall camp is officially underway. So just update us a little bit on how that's been going and what your team's showing you so far.
Well, yes, glad that it's underway as well. I think the guys over the last 8 months, just new staff, new ways of doing things from the weight room, meetings to the practice field. We got a chance to have the 15 practices in the spring, which was great. Mm-hmm. They didn't have that the year before. We had a summer of conditioning. We had a summer of player-run practices, and now finally back together. What I would say about our team is they've come a long way from the first meeting to the last one that we just had prior to starting camp. And really just from a focus, maturity, and overall just understanding of what we're all trying to accomplish. The ultimate goal is we do want to win every single game. We want to play for a championship, and every guy on this team wants to contribute to that. So how do we do that? How do we get these guys prepared? How do they prepare themselves? That's been what they've been learning over the last 8 months, and then getting to know the coaches and building those relationships. So it's just good to be back on the field and able to, for us, able to get out there and coach these guys, be in meetings, and spend time just talking about, a lot of football, but about life and just what it's going to take for us to achieve the goals that we've set for ourselves. Yeah. And that's the best part of fall camp is being able to do that. You don't have really the time restrictions like you do during the season when you have the 20 hours, when you have everybody in class. And that's a good rule, but the best part of camp is that you don't have that.
Yeah, of course.
Players would disagree with me. And so, from 6 in the morning till 10:30 at night, we're together. And you need that time to really bond and build that chemistry, and you need these practices to go through those ups and downs so you know how guys are going to react when you get into a game. The first time – something bad happens, you don't want it to be in front of 90,000 people. All right. You want to see that happen on the field. You want to see where everybody's really, not always at their best, but some of their worst moments and when they really have to respond properly and how they're going to deal with it. And you're just able to, as a coach, use that as, hey, this was really good. This is exactly how we want it to look. Hey, this was not, we need to make sure that we do it this way. And so along with the football piece, there's all those things happening as we head into the season. And you're right, it's right around the corner. That's the beauty of fall camp is there's a deadline, and it's September 4th. That's when we're playing. It's not like spring. You can adjust spring and do whatever you want. You have a deadline during the season. And so we have to be prepared and ready to play September 4th. And our guys know that. And I think as a player, and Jason, you know this, as a player, I think that's the best part too, is all this work is going to actually result in a game. Yeah. Right? We're talking about practice, and hey, we all want to love practice. We all want to do those things, and it's so important. But we do all that work to play, and that's really what everybody wants to do. They want to play, and we're going to prepare properly. But that's the kind of the light at the end of the tunnel when you get in camp is that September 4th and cutting it loose and not going against each other and just being on the field, 11 guys, coaches on the sideline, people in the stands, and just going out there and doing what you love to do.
Yeah, Coach, that's exactly true. And I'm old, but not that old. You think about it in these terms.
You still got it, man. I can see right now.
Hey, I'm trying. Well, I come from the school days of, where we had tour days and different things that you had more time to get out on the football field and make mistakes, and then you can correct them in the second practice. Now, you're limited to one full practice, and then you have walkthroughs in the afternoon. how hard is it to teach these guys situational football and get things up and going, but also try to go back and correct them in a walkthrough, but to know that they really got it by the next day by implementing some form of a format where you go through those third downs, short yardage, goal line situations. Like, how has the game changed with that aspect of it, of taking out the second practice?
So, all right, that's a great point. So here was the beauty of two-a-days is you're going to get to that second practice and you were in practice. You were running, you were hitting, you had to be focused. Because if you're not in the practice, you're going to get hurt. Something's going to happen, right?
Right.
You're going to make mistakes and it's not going to go well. The challenge now is the walkthroughs replace that second practice that we all used to have, but you can get a ton done in that walkthrough if guys are focused. And that's become the challenge. So it's not so much like before, it was just throw the pads on and go, and we knew the work would be done, and we both did that. Now it's really making sure that the coaches and the players, when they go into that walkthrough for that 1 hour that we get, it's intentional, it's purposeful, and guys are focused. Like, there's not jacking around in the back and guys not getting mental reps. The guys that are getting reps are – you're not going full speed, so, it's less wear and tear in their bodies. All right, they're able to still recover while they're doing this because they can hydrate and still be ready for that evening or the next practice.
Right.
But it's really about, like, is the maturity of your team, and really guys just, they're not pros, but acting like pros, right? Mm-hmm. And what do pros do? Pros go out there and work at something so they're not going to get it wrong. All right, they work so hard like that they're not going to get this wrong, and other guys just work at it just to get it right for the moment so they don't get yelled at, right? They don't have to have any sort of criticism or coaching. And so that's the challenge. And that's something that we try to focus on with our guys is, like, we go into this walkthrough, hey, it is not physical, but it is full speed mental. And we're going to coach it like that. And if you're jacking around, if you're not into it, that's going to be brought up. We're going to recognize that. So, that's the key that I think our guys are learning right now is, like, those things matter. It's not like we're going to take this time off and just relax and go through a few plays. Like, no, this is very focused, very intentional. And if anything, you walk out of that 1 hour walkthrough and it's like, man, your mind just went through this great learning experience of preparing for, the mistakes that you made, correcting those and preparing for the next practice. That's where the challenge is at. So it's guys like you and I, those 2 days where we're like, gosh, we work out all summer. I don't know if we need that. Well, if you don't need it, if your mind is right and you're focused, you don't necessarily need that work, and we're not going to get it anyhow physically. So let's make this as purposeful as we can when we get this walkthrough. And the teams that I've been a part of that do that, sometimes as the season goes on and you're a little bit beat up, you're a little bit worn out, those walkthroughs replace those practices. And it's like, guys, you know what to do when it's time to play. So let's get this work in mentally, and then we'll get a few things physically in this week, but we want you to be fresh when you play. And if you got that type of team, I think you got something.
All right.
I really don't think, the mental aspect is emphasized enough. It's actually something that Jason talks about a good bit on this podcast. Some of those mental mistakes, sometimes they're evident physically on the field. And that coupled with the emphasis on strength and conditioning, like you mentioned, I Bleav it was Owen Papo at SEC Media Days that said, you're going to see a visible difference in our athleticism and our conditioning because of the way that summer has been handled. But that coupled with the mental aspect of things, I think it does make an evident difference and often isn't talked about enough. But I'd love to pick your brain a little bit on both sides of the ball. We're going to start offensively and just kind of touch a little bit on where things are right now, how you would like to see things continue to evolve, and specifically offensively for you, because that is so much of your resume, both as a player and a coach on the offensive side. You bring in a guy like Mike Bobo, who is Mr. SEC, basically. I mean, he's well respected in the conference, and on that side, what are you wanting to implement? Maybe differences you'd like to see on the offensive side, and then specifically with your quarterback, Bo Nix.
Sure. Well, the first thing on the offensive side is just the physicality, and it starts in the run game. So just a downhill physical run game. is the most important thing. From there, we can create explosive plays. And we need to have the playmakers on the outside because you should get some one-on-ones. You should be able to get safeties in the box. You should have a chance to create some explosive opportunities on the perimeter with the wide receivers and the quarterbacks being able to deliver the ball. And, the other part of it too is just how we prepare on the offensive side. You're right. My background is offense. And one of the things that I learned from the coaches I worked under, Chris Peterson, Dan Hawkins, is how to prepare. And I think that's something that has always stuck with me, the preparation and the way that we do things to have ourselves ready to practice or to have ourselves ready for a game. I believe in them. And so from an offensive standpoint, you really control everything. All right. You're attacking. Defense has to defend. You're the ones out there attacking every time. You know where the play's going. You know where you should be. You know where you shouldn't get beat at.
Right.
You should know who you're working to. You should know, all right, what the quarterback's progression is. Are you first, second, third? Like, these plays. It's diagrammed there, and that's the one thing about offense is you get a play, and it tells you exactly what to do, and then you're coached on how to do it and so on. So you should have this attack mindset every time you're out there. And, the thing I look for, like if you're on the offensive side and you're kind of reserved or you're questioning what might be happening, that's a problem for me. Like, you are looking at them and, hey, they could do one of two things here. And that's really what we try to just simplify it down to. They can do one of two things right here, and let's go and get after them and attack them. And so as far as the mentality of the offense, that's a big part. The plays, the little details of splits and things like that. Like, I'm out there and I know what those look like. And so with Coach Bobo and myself, he's done things a certain way. I've done things a certain way, but they're very close. And so it's a little tweak here and there that we can come up with and say, all right, let's split the difference, or let's go with your version or my version.
Yeah.
All right. And then you add the other coaches in there. And to me, that's the key component to us being successful on offense is our guys understanding the mindset that we're attacking and then all the details that come along with the plays that we need in order to be successful in that particular play. And then, as far as the quarterbacks go, this is what I believe, playing the position, coaching the position, and more coaching the position even when I was a player. Right? I got a chance to watch, all right, the really good guys go out there and get it done. But the starting quarterback when I was a player we lived in a duplex and he was right next door. Well, you know what? I brought the receivers over on Thursday and we sat in his room and we drew plays up just to be on the same page. And he was the one playing, but that was going to help us win.
Yeah.
And so from a quarterback standpoint, there's no days off, and there's not a lot of opportunities even in practice to have bad moments. You make a mistake, you have a bad play, like, let's try not to repeat it. Let's get the momentum back. And so as a quarterback, it starts at the very beginning. You can't come out there and screw the cadence up.
Right.
You need to know that. You're the other 10 guys, and everybody's counting on you to know that. Even in a walkthrough, Jason, we were saying, like, you have a ball and you're going to stick it out there to hand it off. Well, don't place it on his hip and fumble a ball in a walkthrough. Like, it still matters. And I think really good players, especially at that position, that's how they operate. And so the expectation for the quarterbacks from me is all the time, every rep. I mean, it's really like a game rep for you because we can't simulate all the things you're going to go through. And I don't know that guy came free on this play at guard. Our guard didn't block, and all of a sudden you're running for your life, and now you got to make a decision. Do I run it? Do I throw it? Do I throw it away? And sometimes it's a throwaway. That's that's the proper thing to do, and you got to be really mature to do that as a player. Crowd's booing, but it was the right decision.
Yeah.
So you got to be really tough and know, like, that was the best thing for us to do. And so we're always constantly talking about that at that position. And so they're always locked in. They're always thinking. They're always learning. And I think it takes, a really special player to just have that mentality all the time. So when you go out there and play, because the one thing about games, we're going to coach our quarterbacks really, really hard, but come game time, it's their time. This is their time. And we're going to be there to support them, help them, and make decisions on the sideline and let them go out there and play the game, because there's 4 quarters, and no matter what happens, throughout, there's always going to be an opportunity, I Bleav, for the quarterback to go out there and find a way to finish the game or win the game. And we want to make sure that they're in that frame of mind to do that.
Yeah, I agree with you, Coach. The main thing about, like you were saying, like I always tell the guys, no, there's no wasted rep for a mental rep. There's no wasted rep for a physical rep. I say because you never know, what may be the play of the game to decide the game. And it could come in the first quarter. It can come late in the third or the fourth quarter, but you just never know. So don't be that person on Sunday saying, I wish I'd have done this or what if. So, I really like that concept. And my question is, it's kind of like a two-part question. I'm always about, the quarterbacks. We always worried about who we're throwing to. I call them the Lamborghinis and Ferraris of football, and that's your receivers and your tight ends. And, over the years, we haven't used the tight end a lot in the passing game, but I know in Mike Bobo's system, and you run a very similar system, that the tight end is a critical part of what we do. And for a quarterback, it's always considered the quarterback's safety net. Anytime you can't find something downfield, you usually can find that check off, or you can get that matchup on a linebacker or a safety with your tight end, and from that 7 to 10 yard range. And tight ends has really changed the game of football nowadays. It's become very adept, where the tight end is some offense. It's the most second important receiver outside the top receiver. But when you look at our tight ends and you look at our young receiving core, Kobe Hudson and Elijah Cannon and Javarius Johnson and, Shedrick Jackson is a senior, one of those guys is a senior, but then you add Demetrius Robertson that's coming in. Like, how do you see this group developing and who can be that guy? But not necessarily saying who can be that guy, but how can they be productive as a group, as a whole this year in helping this offense?
You're talking about the tight ends in particular?
Yeah, tight ends and the receivers.
Yeah, so I'll start with the wide receivers. Tavares Dawson, is another guy that came in and has done well. But the wide receiver group, one of the biggest things is we're going to play. We need 5-6 guys that can play in the wide receiver room and be in those personnel groups, right? Where we're moving guys around. We got one guy at X one play, and the next time he's over at H, he might play at Z. Right? We're learning right now the concepts and how to run those routes, and understanding that we're going to try to use them for matchups, right, when they do learn all this, because, hey, if you're the best inside on this particular play, then we want to put you in there. We want to see you do all these different things route-wise, and then we get a chance to, through personnel groups, figure out, what's the best combination. And so you need 5-6 guys that can do that. And so the wide receiver room is about, all right, the versatility that they have, but then also I think it's a lot about just being a physical player at the wide receiver position, because if we're going to run the ball, we talk about running, you're going to be out there and you're going to have to block somebody. You're going to go block a safety. You're going to block a corner. You're going to be a physical player, and there's nothing more exciting to me on offense than watching really good wide receivers go block somebody and play with great technique in their hands inside and spring the tail back or somebody open, all right, for a big run. Well, what's that create? Passing opportunities, because now you block a guy, you're physical with them, they're going to bring safeties down, that corner is going to be trying to come up in your face or playing off, and you're playing this mental game with those guys that are trying to cover you, and now you're getting a one-on-one, which at the end of the day, if you can create that in an offense, all right, it really comes down to winning your one-on-one battle, right? Quarterback, wide receiver, we do one-on-ones every day.
Right.
Well, if we can somehow come up with a play and eliminate all the other guys and just break it down to these 2 dudes right here, let's go win. And, so you're going to want to be on the field, and part of that is being a physical player at that position. And the other part is, to me at wide receiver, being really, really good, other than just lining up and knowing your assignment, explode off the ball every time. Explode off the ball, catch the ball, and do something with it. And so I'm always out there preaching that to the guys, like how we get off the ball, hitch, go, doesn't matter. Catch the ball. It's in your radius, right? We talk about snatching it all the time. Like, hey, if it's around you, go up and get it. All right? Go up and get it. Try to get 2 hands on the ball. Don't try to one-hand that thing. Bring that other hand with you, and you're going to make that play. And then when you got it in your hands, hey, go be electric. Do something with it. Take care of it, and enjoy having the ball, out there in space, and go make something happen. And that's what I see that group doing. We're learning that. The biggest thing about our wide receiver room is consistency right now. They're running better routes. They're lining up properly now, catching the ball and doing something with it. All right, that's what's got to happen. Now it's catching it and doing something with it. And you tell the wide receivers, like, you want more balls thrown to you, catch them in practice.
Yeah.
Your quarterback, I'm telling you, he gets out there and it's like, I'm going to him, right? That's what he's going to do. And that, moves down to the tight end position. And, our tight ends, we're going to shift and motion them. We're going to have them dropping out of helicopters and popping out of the ground in different areas. And I want them to be smart where they can control really the formation that we're in and making sure that we're legal. And then you're absolutely right. Like, those guys, a lot of times they're your outlets, right? They're your unders. They're your third read in the progression. They might be that first, easy, quick, get a little pivot over the ball, catch it, and get vertical, get yourself in second and two. And if you got a really, elite tight end that can run, well, try to get a matchup on a linebacker or an edge player. Now, all the stand-up defensive ends that they're trying to cover tight ends with, and go win those matchups. And you're working off the safeties inside as well. So the tight end position, we're utilizing them, and I really like our group here. They're smart, they're tough, they're catching the ball really well. They're starting to do things with it. So that group in itself is a weapon where, you don't get that one-on-one outside. You drop it down, and he goes and gets you 8. Right. And then we get a matchup, on 4 verticals, and they're going to try to run a linebacker with him. Well, big, tall body, hey, give him a chance, right? Throw to the back of his head, let him go up and get it and make a play. I think those guys that we have right now have the ability to do that. And so I think the tight end group's been pretty more consistent right now. I think the wide receiver group, and especially what I saw today, I thought they stepped it up. Yeah. And they were making those plays. So that's the combination between those two of how we can really own the perimeter and do great in the run game and keep our guys covered and help our tailbacks and quarterbacks, but that we can own the perimeter with those two position groups is, they got to explode off the ball outside. The tight ends got to do a great job. All of them have to snatch in the ball when it's thrown their way. And then, we're trying to get vertical. We're trying to do something with it. We're trying to maximize when that ball's in their hand every single yard. And it's starting to make sense, what that looks like to both those groups right now in practice, and they're doing it, and it's helping us. And we're kind of winning some of those hidden yards at this point that are going to make a difference in the game.
And I think that this season presents such a great opportunity for so many of those guys, not only this new system, this new era, if you will, of Auburn football, but we lost, very prominent names, Anthony Schwartz, Eli Stove, Seth Williams, kind of those expectant targets like you were talking about. It's theirs for the taking right now. Who's going to be next in line? Jason and I have been speculating all offseason. It's exciting to have that many that you think could make that impact. But before we get off the offensive side, because I know you're a busy guy and we're going to let you go, but I got to go back to the quarterback one more time. I pick Jason's brain about the quarterback position all the time, and I got another one here. I'm the only one here that wasn't a QB, so I'm going to take advantage of this conversation. But, I asked you about Bo Nix, and you specifically said all your quarterbacks, which I understand. And, I think when you have an offseason that includes a big SEC transfer at the position, there is speculation, there is conversation. But, as Auburn fans, we've seen Bo Nix for 2 years. We've been kind of on this journey of his story and his evolution. This is the third OC for him, position coach. I mean, there's been a lot of change for him, and he's handled big stages early. But I'm curious from your perspective and the experience you have at the position as well, in terms of his maturation as both a leader as well as fundamentally on the field, what are you seeing from him that maybe fans have been expecting to see in seasons past?
Here's the thing about Bo. Bo works really hard. Every single day, every workout, every time he's in the weight room, every time that he runs on the field and we're running down and back, we're running gassers, whatever we're doing, he is out there straining every single time. I mean, he takes nothing off, and I appreciate that. So to me, the number one requirement of playing quarterback is you better be tough. All right, you better be tough to play that position. And so you're going to be the hardest worker. You're going to be in the film room. He's in Bobo's office watching film all the time. He was one of the first players when I got here to come up and sit down with me and go, all right, tell me about yourself and what are we doing? And so, he's from a leadership standpoint, like that type of stuff to me, that's that's part of who he is. All right.
Yeah.
Just that's what, he's working towards to make himself a better player, of just understanding. All right. Asking me what we're doing, working hard out there on the field, and then obviously bringing that to the film room and then to the practice field as a quarterback. Those are key components to succeeding at that position. As far as his fundamentals, what I enjoy about Coach Bobo is he and I care tremendously about the fundamentals of playing the position.
Mm-hmm.
All right, footwork matters. Under center drops, so you understand timing. You talk about a 3-step equals this. Well, get under center and take a 5-step drop and really feel what that feels like, so you know the timing of it. Yeah. Then you can get in the gun, and sometimes it's a bad snap and it's a 1-step. Sometimes it's all great and it's a 3-step. So you start to understand timing and what that really means. And I think he's getting a better sense of that. Ball handling, right? A play action, we want it to look like Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
You shoot that ball at, it looks like you're handing the ball off. Those things matter. The way that you use your cadence, things like that. So what I've seen from him and what Coach Bobo has done is, he's growing as a player at that position. He's understanding really, playing quarterback, in my opinion, and all the different tools that he needs in his toolbox to kind of go out there and operate and take advantage of what the defense is giving him. And so I've seen the physical part. I've seen the mental part. The thing that Bo had when we got here, he's got the work ethic. And he's very talented. And when you have those two things, like that right there, and then the want to, that showed up, from day one, and it's been very consistent. So I've been happy with the way that he's performed out at practice. But again, we have a really high standard for that position. Mm-hmm. So, it's one of those things like, hey, this is really good, and we're going to point out the really good things. And then, all right, it's now, let's do this. Okay, so this is where we're going. And he's all about that. And when I said the whole group, they are as well, because that's what that quarterback room and the mindset is going to be with that group. But Bo's done a good job, and I like where he's at. And as far as his previous time here at Auburn, we're all focused on now, and that's the beauty of it. I went through 4 different head coaches as a player. Mm-hmm. I've been through different offenses. I understand how difficult it is once you just feel like you got a handle on one thing. It's like it's the same play.
Jay knows.
I know that different coordinator every year.
Right? It's the same play, but it's got a new name and all these new coaching points. You're like, I just ran that play and it called it this. Now I got to learn that signal, and this coach. It's the same play, but every coach has their different little, coaching points. So Bo's never once, we didn't do it like, I've never heard him like, we didn't do it like that. It's just like, hey, what are we doing? And I know he's done it because I've watched the film, but he's been very open and receptive to coaching. And I appreciate that.
And that's a great point, Coach. Like I said, I went through a coordinator every year at Auburn, and so I know exactly about how to adapt and change. Like I was telling the guys when I spoke to the team is you got to be willing to accept change. That's the first and foremost thing. You got to be willing to buy in and everything. So if you can do those 2 things, you can always move forward. So I appreciate your time and everything. And, before I let you get out of here, my last question, I'll let Taylor end it is, Coach Derek Mason, I understand, he's a head coach in the SEC, and the importance of bringing him along with you was a key because, like I said, you always have to have someone along the way that kind of understands the journey, and he kind of understands the journey. He gets it. What do you like from him from a defensive standpoint, the mindset that he brings to this defense and the players that you see on this defense that's going to pay huge dividends this year for the Auburn football team?
Well, first thing I would say about Coach Mason is I just like him. All right, regardless of whether we work together, like I'll hang out with him.
Good dude.
Yes, I like him, and that's the reason why we're here. Is we met a couple of years back. We knew each other and all that, but we had a chance to sit down at a couple of events and have dinner, and I just like him. And watching him with the defense, the way that he communicates with the players, the way that he connects with the players, the schemes that we're using, and Jeff Schmedding was our defensive coordinator at Boise. He's also on the staff. And so, I thought we did some really good things at Boise. And so those two guys, working together and the type of fronts we want to play, the type of coverages, we have the same philosophies. And mine comes from an offensive standpoint. Like, here's the things that I don't like that defenses do that I want to make sure we're doing. And that's the beauty of it. Coach Mason's a pro. Like, we can have those conversations and he can say, well, hey, that doesn't quite fit right now, or this is, let's go that direction. And I enjoy that. And I also appreciate the fact that he's been in this seat and he understands. He's been in this seat in the SEC. And so he understands the demands. He understands, what it takes to be successful as a head coach, and also to have the coaches around you, the things they have to do as far as just their responsibilities every single day. And so we got great coaches on this staff, but Coach Mason, every day, shows up ready, prepared, brings the energy, and, make sure that he maximizes the opportunities he has in front of that defense and in front of the safeties when he's coaching them in that unit, and then on the field with the players to just create this defense that we all want to have here at Auburn. And Auburn, defensively, they've done well. And I think we've got good players on that side of the ball. And so we're working through, some units where we need some more depth, and we got to figure that out. The D-line, we need more depth. We're not going to be able to bring anybody in now, so we got to be smart about our rotation, how we do things. How's Coach Eason going to manage that? Linebackers, we're in pretty good shape. We got some good linebackers, really good linebackers, and depth there is really solid. Secondary is coming along. Some of these new transfers that came in are making a difference right now. And so, I feel good about where we're going on the defensive side. I always feel good about when those meetings are starting. I know there's going to be a message. If it's something that I had told the staff, I know it's going to be hit. I know he's going to have his guys dialed. I know they're going to come out and go out there and practice hard. And if they don't, I know he's going to handle it. And he's going to make sure that, the next day is even better. So defensively, really like what he's doing. I like the staff. I like how they work together and everything I've seen. I'm standing back there from the offensive perspective and watching, and I'm seeing a lot of plays being made on the defensive side. And it's not that the offense is, not necessarily doing their job, just our fundamentals, techniques, and some of the schemes that we're using. They're challenging, and so that is a little bit of that iron sharpens iron. Now offense come back, figure it out. Defense, you might get beat a little bit. You figure it out. We just keep playing this back and forth until we finally get sick and tired of going against each other, and then we get to move on to Akron.
Right. There you go.
That's the best time of camp is when the players finally see a scout, the guys that are starting, see a scout team, and they're like, finally. Yeah. Just go against someone else other than their own teammates.
Totally.
And good on good all the time. So we're not there yet, but we're getting there.
Well, we are very, very close. Well, Coach, thank you so much for joining us. We have 3 minutes left on this recording. I'm going to ask you a couple rapid fire. What is the game day tradition you are most excited to experience?
Tiger walk. Oh. No question.
Man, it's a beautiful thing.
Well, that's the number one. When I
Nowadays.
got here, that was the one thing the players are like, wait until you get a chance to experience Tiger walk. I had no idea what it was, but I'm like, it sounds great.
It's awesome.
So that's what I want to be a part of, number one.
Yeah.
Okay, first impressions of Auburn's campus.
Love it. Beautiful. And the best view is when we went up to the upper decks of the stadium and we were running those. And I got to the top and you can just see campus.
Yeah.
I've been in the business building at the very top.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask.
So, yep, I've been up there and I've got a chance to look out. I love the campus. I think the setup and just, the whole campus feel. I got a chance to get out, and I'll do it again when we get back into classes, but I think that's great.
Okay, good. And last question, maybe the most important. Have you been to Mama Goldberg's yet?
No, but I've had it.
Coach? Oh, okay.
Yes.
What was your order?
We've had, I don't know, whatever was given.
It's all good. You're good.
Sometimes they'll bring in the food and you kind of get what you get,
That's fair.
Usually, to be honest, I'm usually the last one that has a meal in there. So whatever was left over that nobody picked at, I kind of got, but I enjoyed it.
Okay. It's all good. So you're safe there. All right, Coach. Well, we will let you go. Thank you so much again. We're looking forward to this season, and War Eagle.
Yeah, War Eagle, Coach. Look forward to seeing
thanks, Taylor, Jason. War Eagle.
Sure. War Eagle. Appreciate it.